Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. It's quite a mild day today, which is a bit of a surprise. We've had some cooler weather this past week, so much cooler that I've actually had the fire on in the shed here. So I've done my first fire for the season, which was quite lovely. And I've been able to wear some of my thicker winter woolies, some jumpers and cardigans this week, which has been great. I've been enjoying it so much, and I want to make sure that I continue to do that. Like, try not to save them for like special occasions, but actually wear them more around the farm. There's only a few that I've been going to, but I want to start to wear more and more because I've got lots of different options. A little while ago, I did a quick little prune, like a mid-season prune of my roses. I cut off all the dead flowers and sort of tidied it up just a little bit, little few straggly bits, and it has done wonders. I've had another bloom of roses, and they are really, really beautiful. I honestly don't know where this week has gone. Well, no, I do. It is one day earlier that I'm recording today so that I can get ready to go away to Gabby's this coming weekend for me. And I've gone back to work and I've been doing weird hours. Because school's not actually back. So rather than going in super early, because there's no teachers, there's no kids, I've been going in sort of mid-morning and then finishing in the afternoon. So quiet. So it's interesting. You can get a lot done, but then you kind of feel at a bit of a loose end because it's really weird because there's literally like no one else around in my building. So getting back into that routine, even though it's been a bit later than normal, even after a week off, I'm so precious now. Like it's a hard thing to get back into, I find. And then because it's been a bit like different timing, I've been coming over here in the morning, which I'll talk about soon, and then going to work and then thinking about coming back here in the afternoon and trying to squeeze in last minute market prep. So it has been quite a busy week. One thing I forgot to talk about last week is that I bought a new cat tree for the cats, obviously for the cats. And I bought the box in and I probably shouldn't have even bothered putting it together. And I'm sure all cat owners know this. They literally just started sitting on the box. I'm like, okay, great, thanks, guys. So I had to wait for them to decide that that was not interesting at that point. And then I managed to build some of it. And then they came back and sat on it again. And then I had to wait again to actually finish the whole thing. It is a much bigger one that I've had before. The other two were sort of more like single cat ones. I mean, they could kind of both get on it, but it wasn't comfortable for them to both be on. There was sort of only one perching spot. Whereas this bigger one has like a little hidey hole that they really love sitting in. And it is, I set out, and then it's got two platforms with like the little play like things hanging down that they can play with. And it's got a couple of different scratching posts on it. And I've got it sitting right by my lounge chair, my recliner, where I sit and knit in the evening, so they can kind of go between my lap and the tree beside me, and they seem very, very happy with that outcome. Before I get into talking about my market prep for a market that has now actually already been, so as this goes live, I was at Geelong and Bellarine Yarn Show yesterday. If you missed that one, I am going to be at markets the next coming 2 weekends. So next weekend I'll be in Warragul at the All About Fibre and Yarn Festival, and then the first weekend in May I will be at Muralbark. So lots of opportunity to come and squish and see my yarn as well as so many other fabulous vendors. So to the market prep, I had so much to reskein, more than I thought I had. I found another whole tub that had been sitting, which I dyed ages ago and hadn't got around to reskeining. I always say that I'm going to be more prepared, and I try for a little while, but somehow I always manage to leave something to the last minute. So having the fire on over here was really lovely. It felt nice and cozy. I spent 2 days rescaling, well, a day and a half, and then I sat in front of the fire and I got all of my labeling done. And the labeling didn't take that long. I think I kind of have it in my head that that's the bit that's going to take the longest, but it's actually the rescaling bit that does. So I've got all of that done now. And I'm just looking over, I've kind of got things all packed and ready to go. I've got everything planned out as to how I'm going to set it up. I've been trying to think of a better way to be able to pack up more after a market, because I always feel like it's quite crazy and frenetic and things get shoved in random tubs when there's no reason for that, especially with consecutive weekend markets. I need to be a little bit more organized. So what I've done is I have put a sticker with a number on each of my tubs and a matching lid, because I always tend to like lose the lid and try every single one on before the one that actually fits on the correct tub. Crazy. And I've also made sure that all of my spare yarn, like the refills, the things that are not going to be actually on display, are in their own separate organizers, so that I'm not moving them out of a tub to then put them back in a tub where they won't necessarily fit. Um, so I had a couple of shoe organizers, the ones that go under the bed, like the soft fabric ones. And I'd been using them for storage, not for shoes though. I'd been using them for my knitwear and for scarves, like linen scarves. And so they've got little compartments in them and they lay really nice and flat. So I have put all of my spare yarn into those by colorway, so it's really easy to see, and I can just unzip, pull the color out, and it's not going to be all stacked up randomly in a tub underneath a table. I can just find them hopefully much more easily, and then they will stay that way the whole time. And the and the tubs will be used for the yarn that's been on display to go back into those tubs to go back home again. I only have one job left to do. Well, kind of one job. I have a sale tub of single skeins, random bits and pieces, test yarns, batches that didn't work, like I talked about last week. I just need to label the last few of those and mark the prices on each of those items. If I don't get to that, that's fine. I can kind of do that on the day. I don't have to be too worried because everything else is ready to go. So all I need to do now is to do the final pack of my car, make sure I have all of the little bits and pieces, and hopefully I will be all set and ready. Craft wise, what I'm wearing and what I knit on and what I finished are all the exact same thing this week, and that is all I did. Most of my time was spent over here in the shed doing all of the prep for markets, and this was also prep for markets. So I really didn't spend a lot of personal knitting time. In the evenings, it's been getting obviously cold and dark quite early, so I've been sitting down on the couch, and pretty much as soon as I've done that each night, the cats have just come and sat on me, and that has been my happy place in terms of just enjoying that and not doing any too much knitting once I actually finished this. So this is a cowl neck poncho. It's a free pattern that I designed for using one skein of a lace weight yarn. And I'd originally done it on a lace base that I no longer stock. So I thought that I should re-knit it on my wispy lace. This is the apricot colorway. You can see it's got like a nice floppy cowl neck, but you can kind of like zhuzh it to however you want. You could even like fold it over and make it more like double at the top if you wanted to. And it's got increased lines down the shoulder, and then it goes into just open lace. This one, for the ruffle at the edge, I decided to do yarn overs all the way along rather than make ones, so that it created an even lacier effect along the ruffle at the bottom. See how you increase really rapidly at the bottom to get a little ruffle and then bind off. I used 3 different needle sizes for this. So I started on a 4, then moved to a 4.5, and then to a 5 or a 6, I think, at the bottom. I just played around with it to get a nice open gauge, and it hangs down to about my elbows. So it's a nice cover up across the top of your body to go over the top of an outfit. So I will have this with me at markets as a sample. It used most of the yarn. I just have a tiny little bit left. I didn't want to risk doing another round and then not having enough left for a stretchy bind off at the edge. So just a tiny little scrap left, which I can throw into another project at some point. Yeah, and that was literally the only knitting that I did for the whole week. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.